going here. It's 4 o'clock, and we've got a relatively short agenda, but there's, I do want to spend some time, actually most of the time, on the work plan, and that in the, I don't know if you all got a chance to take a look at this, but we'll be going over this and just making sure that this wording is absolutely what we want, because this will go to the council, and the city manager set up a meeting for
can you pull the microphone a little closer so you're picked up?
Okay.
Thank you.
Set up a meeting for January, it's Thursday, January 22nd, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we will take a work plan to the city council and do a brief presentation, and there'll be a discussion at that time. So anyway, I'm going to actually delay. I think we should delay the approval of the minutes, because we need to go over that and make sure that wording is exactly what we want it to be before we approve that. So jump right to item 2, the start meeting update. There's a general meeting on Wednesday that anybody can zoom into, and I haven't received the agenda yet. Did you?
I thought it was tonight.
Well, yeah, there's a policy.
Policy tonight.
There's a noise working group tonight.
Tonight, and then the regular meeting is Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
And what time is it? 6?
It's the same time.
5?
Yeah.
5.
Same time.
Okay.
And so the only anything from the start is just basically the reports they are putting out on their regular reports they put out. So I don't really have anything new. The SAMP update is, I don't know if any of you saw the lead story in the Times this morning.
Yes.
But that was a pretty good article on summarize things.
Yeah, I thought it did a good job.
So that's where that's at. The city and the 3, the last time we talked about the ILA between SeaTac and Des Moines and Berrien, and apparently that all was signed, sealed, and delivered, and the lawyers got the appeal in on time. So that's rolling along. But it's probably a pretty long process.
The takeaway I got from that is, and Jeff, you can Jeff, it's basically, hey folks, we have to build the airport. We have to accommodate rising demand, period, and we start with that. And if you guys don't go along with it, that's kind of too bad, but we have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
and the demand will be here. That's kind of a given, and the FAA requirements are given. So then somehow we have to make the case that we're disproportionately impacted.
Yeah. Well, it'll be an interesting discussion. Going through that article and just making a few notes, it just seemed to me like often in a process like this, we settle on a number, and then we repeat the number often enough that it becomes
the real thing. Yeah, yeah.
The real number.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the first questions I would like to get an answer to is, where did the number come from? They came up with, okay, by 2032 we're at 50.
56. Yeah, we're at 52 million, and it'll be 56 million in 2 more years, and 2030. Yeah.
So where did they get that number? It has to be some way connected to population growth, I would imagine, in the area.
They've done. I mean, I've seen studies done that just kind of blithely extrapolate without taking into consideration hiccups like COVID and other things that can occur.
Yeah, I think they've taken the trend line tried to extend it as best they could from population growth, which is probably somewhat predictable based on economy. But the number of associated increase in flights is a little more difficult to really get a handle on, and it's kind of a slow roll as new perhaps technology and then the new taxiway implementation and the additional gates and all that kind of stuff. And I think that they're going to explore where they can move capacity up, but that number's harder to get to, and is not going to increase at the same rate as the estimated population. So you kind of wonder where it's going to fall in, but whatever it's going to happen, we are looking at larger numbers in the area of maybe 10% or perhaps more in not too far in the future.
Yeah. When I was reading that, I was sort of thinking about you, Jeff, because it occurred to me that, I mean, if you're going to accommodate another 4 million people, that's 4 million people have to move somehow through the building, but that's just the building part of it. The other side of it is the airplanes, and it seems to me like the only way you're going to get more people in and out of that airport on airplanes is you either have to have more people per operation, per landing, or per takeoff or landing, or you have to have more takeoff and landings.
Well, they're going to be more takeoff and landings. I don't think they're going to have. I don't think the planes are going to change much, but you will see if they can get their planes off the runways, on and off the runways more efficiently, and do it safely, and or reduce separation due to turbulence, and utilize parallel runways, mixed approaches more effectively.
That's the GPS thing.
Next gen is coming. The FAA is well funded to continue to move on with that. It's not a direct relationship between technology and there's some limitations there, but there's going to definitely be an increase for sure. And you can see when they really hit it and they were able to use all their runways effectively parallel or staggered, they can increase their numbers up to they can run as many as one every 60 seconds, one every 45 seconds when they're hitting it hard, and they want to, and if they use all their runways, they can really move that number up a little bit.
But am I wrong to say that it is contingent on the completion of the next gen system?
Which they haven't. It sounded like that wasn't wholly in place yet.
Next gen has a long history of improvements, but some of the taxiway improvements that are in SAMP right now are critical to getting the aircraft off the runway more quickly.
Sure.
And they don't have that capacity right now. They have to run to the ends, and that slows things down. They have to cross. Those new taxiways are really one of the key components to getting those planes off effectively and efficiently. Plus more open gates, so there's no delays. They get right to the gate. If they have to wait in gates, everything backs up and they slow things down. They will slow things down consequentially.
The other thing that occurred to me, and actually I was discussing this with somebody else, was that the airlines probably want, I should probably, because I don't know anybody in the airline industry, or I don't speak to anybody like it at Alaska or Hilton, but it seems like most of the flights are kind of 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And why is, of course, one of our big issues is the late night noise, and but isn't it, again, it doesn't, I can't imagine that the airlines want to, if we're going to absorb, deal with 4 million more people, I don't think they want to tell them, your plane's going to leave at 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning.
Well, a lot of that is union contracts too that set that time frame.
Sure, yeah, and so what we're really saying is that most of those additional operations are going to come during the part of the day, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., which I guess is probably good for us, but how is it even possible to
Well, they're not up to capacity now. The runway's going to take more planes, so they certainly can run. Imagine if they could run just maybe 10 more planes they're looking at trying to get the number of flights up, late night flights, not changing very much. If you look at the numbers in the studies, that's not going to change too much. And we need to ensure that they maintain that strategy. That's important as a remedy. And then they can up the number of flights per hour. So they're trying to get maybe up to 100 more flights per day. That will make that will hit those estimates. 100 flights per day. You're talking about a few more per hour, which is several more. You take another every 15 seconds. You might get another flight in, and run some parallel approaches, staggered approaches, mix. When they fly, when we're in North Flow, we have a lot of South Flow landings and takeoffs. If they can effectively make all that work for them, they can up that number of flights. And so it's all quite doable. Whether you can accommodate 20 more million people is kind of a big question mark to me. But they can begin to hit that curve. I'm hoping that the remedy, as we look through the environmental studies, that the remedies, and everybody kind of knows my take, the remedy is that we do not allow more flights, that we leave everything in the way and make it no worse, do no more harm until we have solid studies on sound and pollution, health effects that can be highly that are based on scientific evidence that it's not going to create more harm for the community. And until that's done, we should not be increasing flights, any more flights, and that would be a remedy. You'll note that we're starting these appeals, but there were no remedies in any of the documents that I saw, and so I'm hoping to provide feedback.
The remedy you would advocate is no more.
Do no more
flight.
Harm.
Right.
Yeah, I think let's.
If you want to build a new terminal, be my guest.
Prove that it's not going to harm folks health-wise.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Is there any usefulness in asking the question, is it even necessary? I mean, if it's dependent, if that extra 100 flights a day is dependent on the next gen being completed, and we really, you say it's well funded, but given the circumstances we have in DC right now, and the fact that any reasonable person could look at that and say, regardless of who's in charge, there's still going to be problems. Can we count on next gen being done at the time when all these projects come online?
Well, next gen's already well deep into maturity. So they've already reduced separation standards. They're putting new surface surveillance system, and SeaTac has some of the best around that allow them to really tighten up the number of flights. And but wake turbulence distances still need to be maintained. You can't fix and change that, but they can get the flow metrics really precise.
Well, let me sharpen up the question. Right now, sometimes I'm sitting there brushing my teeth, and I can look out our bathroom window to the south, and I see two airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, I say, okay, this one's going to the third runway, this one's going to number one.
Mm-hmm.
When am I going to be looking out there and see three airplanes?
They are authorized for triple approaches. They don't do it very often because it's hard to get the planes off the runway, all three of them off the runway at the same time, so they can't really hit that fast. But in the summertime, you'll note that, and when it's really good weather, the winds are light to none. They have done triple approaches. If you look at the data, they've done triple approaches before, so it does happen, or the two and then one staggered behind it. You'll see that happen. The mix, though, is you can have planes coming, and when they're really hitting it, they can land north and south at the same time and just stagger them in as best they can. And when they get these new taxiways in, I think they're going to explore how to do that more effectively. So,
So they can do a lot of these improvements. They could go ahead and do. They could put in.
They don't need next gen right now. I mean,
yeah, they could do the additional taxiways, and they have the land, and they could even start on the new terminal, which would alleviate. Because how many times? I mean, you get in there. So last week down and back to San Jose. I'm in the new D terminal, and go down there, and I go, this is odd, and guess what? We hopped on a bus and go, really? You know, what is, yeah. And then down in San Jose, it was interesting. We were the last flight out. Now I realize they have other airports in the area. It was 5 p.m. in the second terminal. We were the last. That was it. I would have taken a 7 o'clock flight home. If it was at 7, I'd rush back and to get on that 5 o'clock flight. And then it's done. That's it.
So I think we have a pretty big challenge in trying to maintain a remedy like no more flights or a slot system that other airports use that don't allow any more flights. There's a hard number. We don't. SeaTac does not have a hard number.
Why can't we? That's what we're here for. And you certainly, I mean, as one remedy.
It sounds like the message is that this isn't something that's out. What I'm hearing you say, this isn't out in the future, you know.
Oh no,
This is stuff they can do right now.
This is something, so when we're
Yeah, I mean, look at the summertime. I mean, they're really hitting it.
Yeah.
I've counted planes coming every 45 seconds. I mean, they are really
You're
hitting
right.
it.
Absolutely. It's
And running up, to over 2,000 flights a day, something like that. And they can really hit it hard when things are just running well. You just hope for bad weather all the time, and it will always keep it nice and slow. So half the year we're okay.
If we're out in front of the public talking to our citizens, then the message is, this is something that's now. It's not 10 years off in the future. This isn't what they're planning to do sometime in the mid-30s or the 40s. This is going to start impacting us with more operations right away. Is that fair to say that?
Yes, I think we need to do something now, and hopefully, it'd be interesting to hear how the lawyers think of a strategy and work the strategic issues once they because I think they kind of know what's coming. I think you can pretty much understand what's going to be in the EISs, and start talking about what some of those remedies may be. There are certainly other things that we want to take care of, trees and noise abatement, and funding for all those things.
Well, then,
and reduce it, but not reducing the number of flights, but keeping it the same, and do no more harm. Seems like a good, that would be a good goal to.
well,
try
and
to
they're
reach
talking about
towards.
traffic. So if one of their improvements is additional employee parking, plus you do have the light rail now that goes all the way down to Federal Way, so that's a mitigation.
And they're mitigating that, right? Traffic is being mitigated, and so I'm not a traffic expert, but it seems like some of these mitigations are being addressed.
Yes.
For increased traffic. What's not being addressed is increased, air traffic.
Yeah, but I like your point, Joe, that do we really know where the additional demand is? Because gosh, how many airports have we all been to where all of a sudden the hub goes away? Have you ever been out to Louisville? That was where somebody, I can't remember who was originally anchored there, or St. Louis. Just tons of capacity, empty airports. Compared to what we got here.
Well, one of the voices.
But it could change.
I think when I first started with START, there was an airline representative at the START meeting, at the general meetings.
Okay.
And maybe even some at the noise meeting. Maybe not so much policy, but I don't see a airline rep there anymore. And I think one of the key things, and I don't even know how you would even get the number, but I imagine that in the boardroom someplace when they're Alaska Airlines here, how many seats are we going to dedicate to this airport, whether they're talking about Oakland or SeaTac or
Portland,
Juneau or Anchorage or whatever. How many seats do we need in that market area to suck up all, to absorb all the demand? But there has to be some connection there between what the airlines are
Asking for?
Exactly, that's the word I'm looking for. What are they asking? And I've never, it would be nice to be able to ask that question, though. Is there a line outside your door from the airlines asking, waiting, demanding more operations at SeaTac Airport?
I wouldn't be surprised because just anecdotally, traveling a lot for business and for family and stuff, I fly Alaska exclusively. Every single flight is full.
Yeah, the planes are packed.
Not even just to like a couple weeks ago to Atlanta, where they only have like 2 flights a day. But even back last month, I flew directly to Oklahoma City, right? Full. Even to a smaller city.
To Oklahoma City?
I know, right? You get off the plane and you start wandering around Oklahoma City, and there's no one there. It's like, why was this plane so full?
Yeah.
But
well, in Southwest, when I was in Chicago, I always flew Southwest, and it was always, they got it really down. They were packed, and you're right about midweek to San Jose, where are we? It was a full.
I would think that I think that the demand is there. You can just tell by the number of folks moving through the system, and I think if you inquire with the airlines, they're going to say, yeah, and we want to fly more core hours too. They probably do prefer to fly as soon as morning approaches, get those planes filled up, and run.
But it would be interesting to look at Delta and Alaska and kind of go behind the numbers and see, really, is this how this is being done? And then the Hawaii merger,
I think there's a reason why they don't show up to meetings. They're not going to tell you those numbers.
Yeah.
Or they may not feel they have much to add to the conversation for start.
Is there no bottleneck in air traffic control? Like they're trying to increase capacity, but is there no? I feel like there's a real bottleneck in terms.
You mean a number of controllers?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sure, that's a problem.
Yeah, so I'm like.
Yeah, but that's a fix. That is, and that has caused a number of delays, right? And it does. I'm sure that it affects capacity too. The number of flights that if you only have so many controllers, you can't handle as many flights.
Supporting the unions of the air traffic controllers
Yeah,
and
but
saying there's stronger protection.
But if you follow, you're exactly right. And so we're kind of in a period of time where they're really struggling. But there's a big plan to hire, train. That's massively coming on. You can see that. And again, it appears that FAA is very well funded in the current government situation. One of the few government agencies that are. You can, if you read carefully, you'll see they're buying an enormous amount of technology, new technology. The complaint's always been the telecommunications is old. Some of the equipment is quite old, reliable but old, and they plan on fixing all that. So there's going to be a lot of ability to get out of that problem with not enough controllers.
So is that just the fallout from that big dust up in Newark or wherever that was on the East Coast where the equipment failed? And
That was a telecommunication problem with the providers, not the FAA equipment, but the providers of the intercommunication systems. That's extremely complex, right? You got satellites, you got fiber lines, and it goes through all sorts of cities, and it got tangled up. But they're trying to redo all that with more redundancy, so that should be getting better. So I think all the things are in place to support more capacity, a more efficient operation if they can. So we are challenged to see what we can do to keep that down.
We need to pass this.
Let's
hit one more. Is there any more discussion on the SAMP here?
Well, I handed out a flyer that I made that talks about the process between the NEPA and SEPA. It includes dates that went to council and things like that, just so that if you wanted to be aware of the stuff in the past and expected dates. But I just put this together and wanted to provide it for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any.
Okay, so everybody can take a look at those. We have some complaints here. Frankly, I didn't get a chance to take a look at these. Is there anything in here new? Or is there anything in here that we...
So the new part in here includes what you guys had talked about, a draft response to the complaints, and that's on the second page.
All right, let's take a look at that.
So that one's includes a kind of a generic response that we can't, if you guys want us to, when you guys get emails, that we can respond for a general thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, I wrote this up.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, you know, you know, without a tremendous amount of thought. Well, because I really wanted the group here to help me get the right words and with the right type of feedback. I mean, we can, and I think attached to this is also an analysis of one of Ms. Hughes' issues. And again, she had a second email that she had, and she is, you know, zealous and
But isn't true,
concerned.
the planes, I mean, whether they take off or land is a wind issue, and it happens both ways. I mean, she sounded like they only land.
Yeah, I don't think she appreciates that they can run a dual operation, north and south flow, in terms of landing and takeoffs. It's not just if the winds, you know, southerly, they're not just going to do south flow. They'll include north flow as well. And I think she observes some of that. And then I did an analysis of the high winds and when they would change flows, and they're changing it every time the wind is hitting it. So it's not like the FAA is not doing what they probably need to do to keep the operation safe and efficient. But she makes some comments about the night flights where she's concerned, and that's an area we can continue to focus on. And then there aren't that many night flights, though. The night flights do seem to be well contained, running to the Quiet Skies initiatives.
1 to 5.
Yeah, it's quite low, and I don't see many, if any, you know, increase in that after a little bit after midnight, and then it really drops down.
No, you're right.
It drops down by 1 in the morning. It's really quiet until 5. But after, between 5 and 6, man, they start spinning up like crazy, and you'll hear them, right? And they'll start running full capacity wherever they can get to, get the day going. So I do think it's a good idea to provide some feedback for folks that that mail in, and get our residents to get their complaints to the right organization. Go to the site that I mentioned. You can actually pick out the plane that's annoying you, and I could do some additional work around some of the complaints. We'll see what comes in to see if there's any value to that.
Okay, so the immediate question for the group is the form letter. Are we okay with the form letter?
With the 3 points.
Well,
Are you talking about that, or are you talking about Jeff's form?
This is the email response
email
to the
form
concerns
letter.
Oh,
about
yeah.
noise. If you'll read that over, you know, I really wanted your words. I don't want to. I'm speaking pretty much for myself here, but it's pretty generic, right?
It is.
It's generic.
Yeah, I didn't see anything offending in here.
You know, you make sure that our residents know that we are concerned, we're paying attention, and get them to the right folks that
So
can
what
actually
does the noise program office do, other than just send them a thing, say, thank you,
Well, the noise it's not the noise program. The FAA and the primarily the FAA, Port of Seattle, they both have websites where you can make complaints officially, and you can get official responses back on significant concerns about noise, particularly if you identify flight numbers and all that kind of stuff, and they will respond. It takes a really long time for them to respond. I don't think it's been satisfactory to the residents, the type of response they get, but that's the official place to go, and we shouldn't be issuing official responses for those organizations.
No.
And I'm sure Ms. Hughes is not going to be satisfied with whatever answer she gets, because they're going to tell her,
Yeah.
Right.
you know.
It's loud. It's certainly loud over
Yeah.
her house, and there are certainly many planes flying over her house. And I think she notes when the wind changes, you definitely get a different mix of aircraft. And she's closer to the outer. Let's see, is it the outer runway?
Yeah.
Yeah, the outer runway. So when they're running a mixed configuration, particularly when she thinks everything should be going on north flow, they may be doing takeoffs from that runway as well, which is really loud, right? When you're in 3 miles, takeoffs are the most loud. Outside 3 miles, it's a little quieter because they get up, and they are getting up fast. But in close, 6 miles out, they're on final approach. They're 3,000 feet and going down. And it's pretty noisy as they get in within 3 miles on landing. That's the rough part for the people that live south.
So Jeff, you wrote her you prepared this, this goes on and on, this is very thorough.
Yeah, I actually did a detailed analysis of Ms. Hughes' concerns, and then I wrote in red what my responses were. And we don't need to go into details here.
No, but I can, if you guys are good, I can send this to her, and I can even say it was put together by a committee member, that way it's not official city
Yeah, we
necessarily,
should
but-
just make sure that that it is not an official response.
Yes,
This is
I will.
these are our concerns, and it doesn't address.
So we don't need a formal motion or anything like that, we just.
No, I just wanna make sure you guys were okay with the form letter that he put together, that when I get a complaint, I'll respond with this, and then we'll still forward you
Yeah,
all the
forward
emails
the
that come
emails,
to you
and
anyways.
we can look them
but I
over and
will-
get a sense of what's going on
Yep.
and do more with them, or.
And the first 2 pages are obviously the ones you did get forwarded, so that's all that's in the packet there.
So for the next few minutes.
Good, thank you.
That we have
Mhm.
here, we've got on the back of our minutes
Yes.
here's the write-up of our discussion from last meeting. So I want to make sure before this goes to council that this is what we want to say. So let's open up the discussion. Give me your thoughts. Concerns?
I think it's great.
Do we need to add anything?
Greg Miller.
I think you guys talked about doing a survey, and and you guys are talking a lot about engaging with citizens, and that's a very small part of this. So if you guys want to discuss that and have council formally approve that, you'll want to include that in your work plan.
And Joe, how did your discussion go with, did you have a chance to speak to them about putting on some sort of public discussion?
Yes, I talked to Captain. Okay, let me give you the update on that. So,
Great, yeah.
we generally thought it was a good idea, but there are some steps that we have to still take, and that's one. There'll be questions about the Open Public Meeting Act, and how that fits into a citizen's, or if it applies. So there'll be, again, she wants to talk to the council. I think she's actually talked to the council about maybe discussing all the citizens' advisory groups and creating a set of, guidelines.
Operating procedures.
Yeah.
Yeah, and personally, I do have a problem with this being a public-facing group. I do not think we should be a public-facing group.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah.
so there are certainly some really good points to it, where the public gets a chance to speak to folks that are in a, perhaps more openly from the official folks could only say what's within their domain, probably officially.
Steve, what if we had something, it was a high, we maybe every other meeting,
Well, I just think, I don't know how productive it's gonna be. I think we're gonna get a lot of people, and like I was telling Joe, it's gonna turn into a gripe
Yeah.
session. I used a different word than that. And we're gonna get people in. It's like the lizard people run the FAA, and it gave me brain cancer, right? And I have a feeling that's what it's going to devolve into. I think if we do a public-facing meeting, it has to be something very specific, or we go out to groups who are already engaged, civic groups like Rotary or something that are already engaged in the community. But
This is a public-facing meeting, we just don't have a public comment section in the agenda,
Yes,
so it's open to the public.
I know, but there's not like this, here's all of our complaints.
Right.
But do you think that it would add value for the residents to feel as if they have a forum where they can at least speak?
Not when we can't show immediate responses to them. They're gonna say, oh, I come to the meeting all the time and I complain and I don't get anything.
We'd have to make sure the focus
immediate.
is around information, dissemination of things that we know and understand, maybe some basic education about some pollution issues and noise issues in general terms, and level the field there, and they can give feedback. But when they do have specific complaints, I do think it can I do think your concerns are very well justified. We have to find a way to avoid that by having themes for the particular meetings, I think, very clearly, and lay out some really general guidelines, but that is a concern.
Yeah.
Well, okay, for the discussion, let's,
Is that one of our, should that be on our list of things we might want to provide here as a work plan?
this is a work in progress, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go to, say, maybe to the other end of it, where we are not a public-facing group, it's just the council considers us, we are the citizens.
We are the citizens, yeah.
Citizen advisories, and our charge is to sit here and discuss this like we do, and come up with, I'm trying to look for the right word, it's almost like a position paper, or, your citizens, all 5 of us, think that the city should, whatever it is.
Yeah, I look at it as
And we forward that to the city council, and they look at it and say, nah, we're not doing that.
Or-
I hear from the residents,
Oh,
I want to hear from them. That's why the survey, perhaps these public meetings gives us more engagement with the community, so we have a wider field of view for their concerns, which we can distill into some additional policy guidance to.
yeah, I just think with us, we're not the council, we're not public employees,
Right.
that feedback needs to be going through the council and not through someone. I guess when I think about our group is that we're going through the SAMP and we're going through all this stuff and saying, hey, city council, do you know this? And the city council needs to be showing us leadership and saying, hey, we need you all to delve into this. We don't fully understand this, right? And I see us having a regular spot on the city council agenda to educate the council on, hey, here's what this stuff is saying. Here's what you wanted us to know about. You wanted us to dive into and give you our take on these things.
So maybe what we could do instead of this one at the bottom is at a bullet point, and what I've written together kind of is engage with citizens for additional information and understanding of community concerns, including through surveys or one-on-one communication.
Yeah, I think we just
That-
sort of worked that, yeah.
I think we just have to be careful about, in other words, the city council is gonna go out and hire some experts, so if they want to dive deeply into a particular factor or a segment of the NEPA, for instance, for the SAMP, or the SEPA for the SAMP, I'm not sure that they're gonna come to us and say, hey, take a look at this and tell us what you think. I think they're gonna
Sure.
go right to their experts. So I'm not sure that is gonna be part of our charge.
This gets right to the heart of what our organization here is really for, and I don't think we've defined it completely yet well enough. I think exploring ideas like public engagement might be just one of the things we could add value on. I don't think that was done with the previous advisory committee, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Joey, I'm asking you.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I would like to do something successful.
Yeah.
But you're concerned about, how it would devolve into just a griping session, certainly would come up quickly. And I think if we are nimble, we might be able to deal with that. But it'd be great to hear from them and also share some details about real estate concerns, and I can share a little bit about what I know about airport operations in a non-official way, and have an open discussion just as citizens together. And it could add some value, I think.
Well, that's what I was thinking, maybe if we did, let's say quarterly, we have 2 meetings of our own, and then a third meeting, we are open. I think particularly with everything coming down the chute quickly and time pressures, that's.
Let me ask Rebecca a question. Do you have any idea what the timeline's gonna be? I mean, I remember the third runway, it was like years. So by the time we get through the NEPA appeal and then we go through the whole SEPA process, I guess what I'm trying to gauge is how long we're gonna do that, if we're gonna be going out and explaining
Yeah.
How many meetings should we plan?
Right, right.
Well, NEPA is,
It took them, let's see, on the NEPA, it took them, I'm trying to think of how long it took them from the draft close to the, took them about 6 to 9 months to respond to all the comments. So assuming it takes the same amount of time to respond to all the SEPA comments, you know, and it's supposed to come out in around Q1. I'm hearing rumors of spring. I don't know where those rumors came from, so I can't confirm those rumors. So
You're talking Q1 of 26 or 27?
yeah, no, Q1 of 2020 or 26 is when the draft EIS is supposed to come out. We have been told we'll get 30 days notice, so I can guarantee you it's not coming out on the 1st of January, because we haven't been given 30 days notice yet. So then there'll be a comment period. We don't know, again, we've been asking for them to give us more comment period time than before. I've been begging them to give us 30 days. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll get something like 15 to 20 day comment period. And then they need to, however time it takes them to respond to all those comments before they release the final EIS. That could be anywhere from, if they really have enough experts, a month, but it took them about 9 months to do it on the NEPA. So if we're assuming around 9 months, we're gonna be looking at a final EIS towards the end of the year.
although, because so much of it has been covered before, I think they probably are gonna take advantage, and that could be sped up a little bit. I wouldn't expect it to take that long. Do you think they're gonna have a public, forum where,
Yes.
much like the port did?
They have to have a public meeting as part of
That's what I
the
thought, yeah.
draft EIS.
And that's the Port Commission.
The port is doing it. The port is doing the SEPA, where the FAA did the NEPA.
And so those meetings will take place downtown or?
I'm sure they'll do what they did for the
Go
NEPA,
city to
and they'll
city.
have they'll have one around here, at least the open houses and things like that.
Mhm.
So what I'm hearing you say is there's gonna be 12 meetings for this group
Mhm.
that we will be dealing with
For the end of the process.
for the end of the
Mhm.
process. Okay, so that gives us some idea of, you know,
So there could be one or two of those could be, maybe first one, see how it goes. And
yeah.
if it's a cluster, we'll won't do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the topics could be the SEPA.
Yeah.
But some other topic could be general noise.
And the city held a public meeting for NEPA, so it'll be up to the council whether they want to do that again for SEPA. So if we do that, obviously the committee would be invited out to that. But we had a non-council public meeting where we gave kind of a presentation, help people understand how to respond to the SEPA
Yeah.
document and things like that. And so we will most likely be asking council if they want to do that again. Obviously it costs money to bring those professionals in to do that, so but it was done for NEPA, or whether we'll just say, hey, the NEPA letter's there, the studies really haven't changed, you guys can take that previous template and turn it around for SEPA. So
Another quick question, when does the city newsletter come out?
City
the
manager's
city currents or
report,
the
city
city,
currents.
I just know that's quarterly.
It just came out, so.
Yes,
So it'll be
so probably spring, yeah, you know.
spring or right after the first of the year?
I think it just came out, so my guess would be spring. I'd have to double check.
Oh, we missed that, okay. I was thinking that would be a good place to, whatever we came up with, that'd be a good place to start.
Write an article for the currents? That's not a bad idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, okay, where are we? Can we agree that we need to, one, do a survey?
Yeah, let's just talk about this for 1 second. So, I thought at first that would be a pretty good idea to get a sense of how the residents feel, so we can provide at least some data to the various groups we're engaged with about what our residents are concerned with. I don't think we're going to see a lot of surprises, though. My guess is it's going to follow the same complaints, and those have been very well categorized on a number of different venues already. So I don't know if we're going to get a whole lot of new, interesting information. It would be nice to know whether noise is their biggest concern, or traffic's their biggest concern, or our health, and what aspects of health, so we can tie that into results that we want to see exemplified in the SEPA and cumulative effects that they said they were to address there. But I don't know. I mean, but I'd like to do the survey, and looking for the right tool.
So, Joe, from the cab perspective, they've worked hard to get a citywide survey out for the strategic plan, and that it has been going fairly well in terms of, I think they have over 1,000 responses. Catherine would have been happy with 250, okay? So, but there was that's a 10-person, I mean, it's a 20, I don't know how big the committee is, but anyway, there was a lot of effort went into getting that out. Two takeaways from that: it can be done, it would be effective, but second, will there be survey fatigue if they're hit with another one 3 months later? Maybe they'll like it. We like these surveys.
I wrote up one. I think I sent it out to everybody, a little generic survey on issues around SeaTac Airport. And it wouldn't have to be very many questions, right? You could be done in less than 20 questions, and it'd be good to have in our back pocket for feedback.
I think it helps,
particularly if it's well represented.
sets a baseline, right?
It's
Sets
a
a baseline.
Okay.
Yeah, be good to know.
Timing. ASAP or wait for?
Well, I think it's gonna take some time for us to discuss the questions and do some of
Yeah,
that.
that-
It
Yeah, so I
definitely
think-
can't be done while this other survey is going.
Well, I mean, this
Agreed.
survey is wrapping up, and the strategic plan process will be wrapping up as early as this spring.
Okay.
Late spring?
So ours would follow that, and maybe good to have it in the summer when the flights pick up and there's more concern, okay? So maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing.
So let's just make sure that's one of our, work plan to accomplish that and provide a summary of those results to the right folks.
Okay, and that'll be, timing on that'll be late spring, early summer-ish?
Right.
Let's include that.
So, we survey, city currents that's obviously, once we get a work plan going, we'll either hit the spring, what do they do that, 3 times a year?
4, but the issue is when are their publishing deadlines? I mean, maybe you might want something in January before it gets in April. There's a real lag involved.
And it would be nice to have a complete work plan.
Yeah.
All blessed by the council and.
Yeah, I don't think our lag is like that, so if we're able to keep the January 22nd date, I don't see a problem with it being in a spring.
Okay.
City currents is my guess, again, I don't know the exact date,
And the 22nd is when we would actually make a presentation to city council. All right.
Yeah.
So, back to the public-facing meeting issue.
I think we should try it.
Thinking about 12 meetings next year, like this.
Mm-hmm.
12 meetings, because that's gonna be the sort of the length of the progress, and then how much we're needed after that, who knows? But the immediate thing is plan for 12 meetings.
Yeah, well, fine, let's do that, and then why don't we plan for a March public, we'd have 2 meetings, and think about having in March, and the meeting in March, I would think, could help inform our survey, which is going out, a quarter later, perhaps, and I think it would be, and there'll have been, I think, lots of time for things to percolate, there'll be public interest, the weather won't be bad, and it'll give us some time to plan it out between, going to the council next month, and then we'll have February to sort of talk about it.
Yeah, and then we'll have some good guidelines and some feedback about the process that's approved, some of the concerns about how do we control a meeting like that, what kind of presentation materials we want to do, and who's going to be responsible for what piece of the meeting.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's worth a try. I think it might be very useful. But
I disagree, but we all don't have to agree, right? So I just think, if we go forward with it, we just need to make sure that we, I think, and we'll talk about what it looks like, right? But I think it's going to have to be very focused, very focused.
I agree with that completely. That's going to help a lot. And I think, look at us, a lot of us have some pretty good skills. Hopefully we can balance it and make it a productive meeting, an informative meeting.
Yeah.
But It'll be interesting to see how concerned our citizens really are and whether they're really looking for a place to express their concerns, and we just need to respond appropriately to those with information, technical information, and let them know you have someone to talk to. We can address them. And I think the folks want to be heard more than anything else. Imagine if the folks that are complaining about things actually had somebody that would listen to them, and I think that way may help the community work this through as we all have to.
Well, I think, for me, what success looks like at a bare minimum is we get the rest of our citizens here in the county to acknowledge that there will be impacts.
Yeah.
That this isn't just gonna.
No matter what the port says, or,
Right.
there's gonna be impacts.
And that if you're not willing to have a serious discussion about some kind of mitigations for those impacts, at least be very honest about the severity, what the impacts are gonna be, and when we can expect them to occur, so that as citizens and property owners, or people that maybe are trying to plan for their retirement, or where they're gonna raise their kids and send their kids to school, so people can make decisions. And that, to me, is they owe us that. They owe us the transparency, they owe us the honesty to just say, okay, Joe, here's what's gonna happen. So if you don't like it, move to Okanagan or something. But they owe us that.
Does that that's really clear, Joe, did that need to be in our 3-point, the transparency part of what we're committed to?
Can you add something like that?
So here's what I'm kind of putting right now as I'm trying to type something up. So I've got engage with citizens and the community for additional information and understanding community concerns through surveys, one-on-one communication, support, or hold a public meeting to allow citizens to express their concerns if needed, engaging community through city currents articles about the committee and activity.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Because the
I'll
yeah.
finesse the wording, and I'm just typing as we're talking, so.
Because if they coming to council, you only get a few minutes. Going to the Port of Seattle presentations, it's so diverse, it's hard that you don't get the sense that one person's listening, and so there's not a great venue for the residents to have any time on with folks that have some impact to the process for SAMP and other things. So I don't know. It seems like a word.
So Rebecca, so Joe and I have this policy start meeting that starts in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And
So do you want to approve the minutes? I think that's the last thing on here, is the minutes from the last meeting.
So just one last thing, Jeff, I hope you're right, and I'm gonna do everything I can to help make sure it's right. I just hope we look back and say, wow, that was a big waste of time.
it could be a waste of time,
Yeah.
anyway.
Rebecca, do you want us to, do you want to do some more wordsmithing on this and then have us approve it at the next meeting?
Right, but I need the minutes from the last meeting approved.
Oh.
That's in here. That's just this one page. No, that's just,
That's this last.
no, that's just an attachment to the agenda.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
okay, in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is that all we needed to do and take
That's
care
it.
of all the business?
Yep.
Okay,
To your
well,
point.
let's, roll it up.
Start meetings have to have consensus. I mean, they won't.
really?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a joke.
I guess I'm looking at a business perspective where it's like, okay, we don't all agree, but we've made a decision, and whether we agree or not, that's where we're going.
You will
Yeah.
wordsmith that a little?
I'll wordsmith it out, send it out via email, see if I have a general consensus. You can do a formal approval at the next meeting, but the agenda for the 22nd would be due the same day as your meeting. So if I have a general consensus, I can work on it from that. And then at the meeting, if you guys formally approve the work plan for recommendation to council, then we'll make sure we'll get it right on the agenda for the 22nd.
Okay, and we don't, okay, so it's holiday season, so everybody's gonna be busy. But if we need to have just an off-site meeting or something like that after the first of the year, let's just communicate.
Yeah.
We'll have this back, take a look at it.
Yeah.
We need to polish it.
I think that would be a good idea before the 22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to have it all ready to go by the 22nd
Yeah.
for their discussion.
So, I sent you a note today, we're sort of orphaned here.
I know.
Kick us out, but
Yeah,
you gotta
unfortunately, I
kick
don't have
us
a
out.
staff member scheduled to be here for 2
Okay.
hours, so
What
it
was
would.
it now?
Hey, do you have the login information?
I don't have,
I checked with the library, they have a room and tables, but they're only open for another hour, not the full 2 hours.
Do you wanna?
well, it's an hour, I
Would it
mean,
be faster to go up to my
It
place?
shows
I
2
guess it
hours
would
in
be.
the calendar
let's
invite,
do
but
that.
okay.
You, hopefully you have some login, I didn't get the login.
I can forward it to you.
Oh, yeah.
I should have it.
Yeah, can you do that?
Do it and copy me anyway, just in case
Do you have the
I don't.
calendar with all the meetings on?
Mhm.
Can you send that to me?
I mean, it just comes from Cheryl, I can forward it. That's what I'm gonna, that has the Zoom, so I'll forward you the calendar invite.
Is that for the meeting on Wednesday?
No, that's for today's.
She said that that wasn't available, it was on the calendar.
The Wednesdays one?
No, the Wednesday one, we get a
Okay.
reminder. the
Right.
day before. But for the policy committee and the noise committee,
Mhm.
or working group,
I wouldn't mind knowing when those
it's
are.
supposed to be on a calendar.
That's what I'm saying, on the calendar it has the Zoom link.
Okay, can you
So I'm
send
sending
us-
it to you right now.
Can you
And
send
then
the
maybe
whole calendar?
I'm forwarding the calendar, so I'm assuming it's
Joe, if you don't
sending
get it,
you.
could you just pass that?
I think they send out one at a time. It doesn't look like it's all of them. So I think you're